He is a clinical psychologist who has served in a variety of leadership roles within the American Psychological Association, a professor at Columbia University, and he shares helpful videos about mental health and psychology on his YouTube channel, The Psych Show. Please welcome Dr. Ali Mattu.
Oh, it's so good to be here. It's so good to be anywhere right now.
So, first of all, can you talk to us a little bit about how coronavirus and social distancing is affecting people, even those who are not predisposed to any mental health issues?
It's everything. It's the first time in my life where I'm seeing problems related to anxiety, trauma, depression be the norm. They're what's typically expected now in this situation. So people are struggling to deal with all of their worries. People are struggling to have energy to go through the day, to remain hopeful and energetic and be able to focus. We've never seen this unique combination of isolation and fear of contamination and economic stress and a wide-scale disaster on a global level ever all of these things come together in this way before.
So what advice do you have for people who don't have access to their usual coping mechanisms, right? They can't get a dinner with a friend. They can't go to a bar. They can't work out. They can't go to the movies. What is your advice for people who are struggling but don't know how to fix it right now?
You got to be compassionate towards yourself and the people that you are around, or if you aren't around anyone, be even more compassionate to yourself. That's the first thing. Like, just getting through the day right now is a pretty big accomplishment. So it's number one, you got to be compassionate towards yourself. And the second thing here, I think now most of us are a few weeks into this, at least in the United States. We have to find some way to develop some routines. Your brain doesn't really distinguish between making small decisions and making big decisions. All decisions require a lot of effort and resources. And so if you don't really have a routine in place of what your day is going to look like, those are all a ton of decisions that you have to make hour by hour. And that's all draining. That's all pretty exhausting. So as much as you can have like one thing to anchor the morning, one thing to anchor the afternoon, one thing to anchor the evening, that's going to go a long way just to help you get through the day and get through the day without it being completely overwhelming and exhausting. And the big thing, oh my gosh, so many people are struggling with this. Cut the news out, like almost as much as you can.
Listen to a podcast or two. Get a I would say like a Pod Save America Monday, Pod Save America Thursday. Throw in a Love It or Leave It. Maybe a Pod Save the World. That's it.
That's what I've been recommending.
Maybe
that's the exact regimen I have been recommending.
A little bit a day
folks.
In the form of a digestible podcast, right? Just that. I would say that's really good advice. Again, medical advice. Just Crooked Media, cut everything else out. Thank you so much for joining us.
100%. Hopefully that checks in the mail. You got to manage your media content and consume a lot of stuff that helps you to get kind of detached from all this chaos that's happening in the world. Like, that's a good thing. That's a healthy break to have. There's no such thing as like your guilty media pleasure. Like, whatever helps you to deal with your emotions, that's a good thing. And that gets to my last 2 points is, number one, we got to solve problems in your daily life. Like, my wife and I are now completely working from home with our toddler, and so we had to find some kind of space where we can tag team and work from home, because we never really did that before. So anything you can do around your home to just get rid of stressors that you might have or make it a little bit more comfortable, easier for you. That's number one. Get really good at solving problems. And number two, you got to have some way to deal with your emotions. So whether that is like what I do is once my daughter is asleep, I put on something that completely helps me to forget the fact that I'm a parent and in this mess. So Tiger King was working real good for me because like as bad as my life was, like it's not that. So that really helped. But find your media that really helps you to get disconnected a little bit and helps you to cope. So all that stuff, just, easy things like that, like manage your emotions in a global pandemic.
A lot of conversations that I'm hearing go something like, I want to murder my children. I need this to stop. I am genuinely miserable, but I know I can't complain because I have it so much better because I can still work from home. I have food in my fridge. I'm not actually in as precarious or bad a position because we are in a moment of crisis. You know, 20 more than 20 million people have lost their jobs. People are sick. People are in genuine peril and crisis. And so to complain in that moment feels shallow. It feels like you lack compassion. What do you say to people experiencing that?
So we all have things going for us, and we all have things that make our lives more difficult. And so, number one, it is super helpful to be grateful for the things that you do have. Gratitude is a super powerful emotion where not only does it lift your spirits, expand your thinking, but it also helps people who receive gratitude. Like if you're expressing gratitude to someone else, it helps them, and it also helps everyone around who witnesses that. It's kind of the super emotion that we can experience. So gratitude's awesome. So if you are feeling grateful for something, it might even be better if you can feel grateful towards someone else and express that, like to the essential workers who are delivering your stuff. Like if you can write a note on your door expressing how much they are helping you to get through your day, that's amazing. That's going to help them out. Expressing your gratitude towards people in your life, all of that kind of stuff, or just like journaling about it yourself, or sharing it on social media about how you're very fortunate to have a job. I don't know, stuff like that. That's good. At the same time, we are all struggling in some ways, and real compassion is about being honest with yourself about the ways that you are struggling and finding some way to share that with a friend, to share that with someone else. Like if you're a parent who wants to murder your child, like that, I would probably fall into that category. Finding another parent that you can share that with, because the more times I've done that, the more I felt like, oh, you know what? That's not me. I'm not weird for feeling this way. This is a extraordinary situation. You know, humans are not built to parent alone in isolation when you can't go outside. Like I spent 2 years raising a daughter who was excited to go outside and like almost didn't watch any TV at all. She got maybe like an hour of TV a week. Now she's getting like 4 or 5 hours a day because her mom and her dad are double booked on meetings and doing Zoom sessions all day, and she's running around trying to get our attention. So all I have is Moana to babysit her. You know, so sharing those stories with other people who might be in similar situations as you will help you to understand that your feelings aren't bizarre, they aren't strange, you aren't a horrible person. You're very much a human being in an extraordinary situation. So we got to balance gratitude with real compassion that is very honest about the situation that we're in.
You know, when you're talking to people who are struggling, when you're thinking about your own struggles, what's a exercise or a pattern or a way you can kind of reset yourself to just sort of give yourself a boost to kind of keep going in a hard day?
One thing that I've been doing is getting some context. So a lot of people feel helpless, like they're stuck, they're not doing anything. But the thing that we are doing right now, you and me and everyone listening, is an incredible optimistic act. We are all united. We're not helpless. We're taking an action that says, you virus, you don't move if we don't move. So we're going to just stay put here. We're going to stop you by staying put. This is an act of immense altruism, of global cooperation, the kind of which I've never seen. And I thought maybe climate change would trigger at some point. But this has triggered it, and we're all relatively united in stopping this thing. So remembering that you are taking an action by staying put, you are taking an action to stop this virus and save other lives. That's what we're doing here. So that's something I remind myself, that I'm not helpless. I'm not alone. I'm united with everyone in taking this act to stop this virus.
Yeah. Staying home, not going about our lives is not a lack of action. It is an action.
It is an action. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Ali Mattu, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having this conversation.
Yeah.